I want to let all of you in on a bit of a secret. I spent many years of my life feeling scared. New people filled me with a sense of panic. And even simple conversations with strangers were a really difficult personal challenge for me, each and every time. Now, it's not that I didn't want to engage with others, it's that I became paralyzed into inaction. When I now think of all of the people that I never met, and the friendships that I never made, and the relationships that I never had, even when my instincts were screaming at me that those people had something truly wonderful to offer, it's just finding myself the center of attention in pretty much any situation felt like a nightmare. I would freeze up and my heart would race and I just didn't know what to do. And being asked to stand alone on stage in front of a room filled with people, you can forget about that. It is really hard to explain to somebody what it feels like to be shy, unless you've actually been there. Now, I'm not talking about commonplace awkwardness or anxiety that I'm sure many of you felt coming here today. And I know that we're hearing a lot in recent years, and rightfully so, about the power of the introvert, particularly in creative communities. Introverts require and thrive on time spent alone. They're best one-on-one or in small groups. Proud introvert here, and I'm sure we have many in this room. No, being shy is like walking through the world in a fog of fear. So preoccupied with what other people are going to think of you. Am I going to say the right thing, do the right thing, and so you don't do anything? I like to think of myself as, let's call it an anticipatory thinker. I'm very organized. I like to plan ahead, and any of you who know me know that I like to be prepared. But what if that sense of anticipation is so focused on a possible future that you're no longer living in the present? Now, I became really good throughout my life at creating worst-case scenarios for myself. Oh my God, this horrible thing might possibly happen. At least then I might see it coming, right? But the thing is, if you are navigating through your world with that mindset, it becomes a personal prison of the mind. Imagine, if you will, an invisible bubble that you wear around your head and you carry it everywhere with you. Sure, there is a protective barrier there. But as you would quickly discover, wearing a bubble around your head is that it truly prevents you from getting close. And while that bubble was in concept invisible, I mean, people knew it was there. It was as if I had shy stamped on my forehead, and it was embarrassing. No one wants to be the shy girl. And so I convinced myself that I could somehow, cover it up. In my angsty teen goth years, I thought maybe people would just think it was a cool aloofness. And as I grew into adulthood, it's a little bit easier to be the quiet girl at the table or in the corner of a room if you are well put together. But that kind of increased self-awareness only exacerbated my feelings of personal isolation. I did not want to be this way. But the more I told myself that I was shy, that pattern became my identity. I felt like a sad and lonely spectator from within my bubble, looking out at a colorful and vibrant world. So close and yet so far. I didn't know that there could be any other way, at least not for me. Now, to a certain extent, I grew up in publishing. This was an industry that I entered fresh out of college and quite wide-eyed. And I immediately found myself surrounded by this palpable energy of new ideas. Everywhere that I looked, I saw authors and colleagues and industry leaders who were boldly stating, "Hey, I'm here and I have an idea and I want to share it with the world." I saw and felt in very real, tangible ways what it meant to take an idea and nourish it with energy and then push it out into a bright spotlight. And I was thrilled to be so close to that spotlight and the people who had the courage and determination to stand in it. Books became for me these beautiful vehicles for the embodiment and dissemination of dreams. It felt like magic to me. And I learned over time to use that magic to help me become braver. Now, as I found those ideas that I was passionate about, I started to speak up. Yeah, the shy girl. I started to inject myself into conversations and situations that were not that of that fearful spectator, but of an active participant. And this was not by any means an instant transformation. No, it took years. But I learned how to leverage that energy around those ideas to embolden me to seek out opportunities that were way outside of my comfort zone. And here's the thing, I stuck with it year after year after year, and idea after idea. And through that, I found a home in publishing that felt like it had momentum and stability. I found myself on my own kind of stage, and rather than run from it, I decided to find a place there. I became a creative force, a curator of ideas, a decision maker, and even a bit of a business politician. And I decided to pull that shy girl close to me and embrace her. I've been sharing space with her for so long. And I whispered in her ear that I needed her to step away just a little bit so I could see what this whole life thing was all about. The bubble was still there, I won't lie. But here's the thing. It had formed windows. And I was so excited to rush up to them and breathe in the air. Now, simultaneously, I was also building a courageous spirit through a loving and supportive marriage. This was a relationship that it pushed me to become more than I had ever thought possible. I was encouraged to think and feel big, and I did. And I still credit that relationship with helping to build this strong foundation that I still carry with me today. But after about a decade, it became quite clear that our shared path was starting to split. Not all love stories are meant to last forever, and ours came to an end. And we moved through this monumental change with the utmost compassion and grace. While it would have been so easy, believe me, to get caught up in contentious debate over fault or assets, we made a conscious decision to be kind. And it was through those gentle acts of release that I learned that letting go could be beautiful. And it was just as I felt that I was recovering from this seismic change in my life that I experienced another breakup. But this one I did not see coming. After almost 17 years in publishing, working for the same company, that relationship abruptly came to an end as our offices closed. And like others during that time, I was processing some profound feelings of loss and disappointment and confusion. All of those years of mutual investment felt like they had been discarded. And honestly, I felt betrayed. And while I allowed myself to wallow, and I did, just for a little bit in those emotions, something very clear came to light, and that was that I was no longer happy in my career anymore. That energy that I loved so much around those new ideas had become overshadowed with the stress and pressures and, let's face it, bureaucracy of an increasingly corporate business environment. And while I had certainly felt that on the periphery for some time, I did not want to admit it because, frankly, I just didn't know if I could handle any more change. And so I did what I think we often do in uncomfortable times in our lives. I just put my blinders up and I focused my vision straight on that center line until I couldn't anymore. And when you've got your blinders up, there is no plan B. There was no fantasy other career that I had been putting on the back burner. Honestly, I just didn't even know the first step to take. And so I found myself with something that I think we face rarely in life, which is a completely blank canvas. No marriage, no job, and I had no kids. I was, again, on another kind of stage, but this time I had absolutely no script. And so I decided that I needed to not allow my head to do what it was so well trained to do and create yet another worst case scenario as a means of protection. But I needed to allow my heart to create a best case scenario as a means of truly living. And so I hit the pause button. And I decided to ask myself some questions that were of my own design that I truly hoped might hold a mirror up to reflect back the person that I felt I had lost along the way. Imagine yourselves facing a blank journal page or a glaring computer screen, facing these very same questions. Who do I want to be? What do I want my life to look like? What is most important to me? And who and what do I want to invite into my life? Now, I know that these questions are incredibly simple, but my God, they are also so daunting. But I decided that I needed to not view my situation as a fall with everything that had been stripped away, but rather a leap towards flight. It wasn't until this point in my life that I realized that change is constant. And life is a moving, breathing, evolving dance. It was actually through change and the disruption of my own story that I realized that we not only can, but we should check back in with ourselves about what it is that we even want. Who amongst us has not felt like they got lost somewhere along the way? And whether you are facing a major crossroads in your life, or you just want to steer your path slowly to be more in line with your core values, every move forward begins with a simple step. Change comes one day and one decision at a time. And as I learned, even amidst uncertainty, we have the ability to make choices. It is small acts of intention that are the infrastructure of a life well lived. Do I think that I would be as happy at this point in my life, and I am happy, if I hadn't gone through some challenge and change? My honest answer is no. And do I think that I would be living a life that I feel has purpose and authenticity without having asked and acted upon those questions? No. Personal discovery is not about the beginning or the end. It is about the process of going through. And I have done a lot of going through in recent years. I have rediscovered love with another, and within my community, and within myself. And I have built a new career centered on being a creative entrepreneur. I own my own damn business. Yeah. I still love to shine that bright spotlight on amazing people and ideas. It is now from behind the lens of the camera. It is now images that are magic to me. And I help my clients step out onto their own kind of stage through our work together. While I am still an introvert, the shy girl is gone. I know you want to know about the bubble. Well, the bubble is still there, but it has completely transformed into a luminous orb of gratitude that radiates outward, and it actually helps me get closer to the people in the world around me. I would like to give you some words of advice that I so wish that I could have given that shy girl years ago. I wish she would have listened. No matter what invisible bubble it is that you are wearing day to day, I hope that there is a morsel or two of inspiration in my words for you to take away today. Get outside of yourself. Connect with others. I believe that there are invisible threads that connect us to the people in our lives. And if we are lucky, those threads help ground and propel us forward, strengthened by the integrity that happens where they intertwine. I ask you, who represents the greatest threads in your life? And are you doing what you can to ensure that they remain strong? Are you inviting new threads into the beautiful tapestry of you? Hug your fear and move on. And it's taken me more than 40 years to realize that my fear is trying to protect me. While my head wants to keep me safe, my heart, it is excited by a little bit of risk and change. The key is to not allow your fear to take control over your personal narrative. I invite you to take a look at your fear. Do not just push it away. Take a look at it. Are you serving your fear or are you serving your purpose? And finally, move past desire into action. I like to think of intention as the fuel for action. Intention can help provide purpose. I believe it is through inquiry and action, asking and acting upon questions like I posed earlier, that we can train our head and heart to align in a life that is filled with intention and purpose. Intention is not innate. It absolutely must be cultivated. And so I ask you, what is it that you wish to cultivate within yourself and in your life and in your world? Thank you.